when Diddy got locked up, Meek Mill came out saying that he'll pay somebody $100,000 to investigate that he has nothing to do with anything with Diddy.
Man, look, you can't take back what your butthole received. That's just like the video that's coming out with him and Will. With Will Smith getting the Will Smith. You ain't heard the Will Smith footage?
Yeah.
I heard about Will Smith. Then they got the Carl Winslow. Yeah, they got a lot, bro. It's a lot coming out, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna just keep it to you 1,000, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jaleel White was Reginald VelJohnson for a very long time.
A lot of people feel like she disrespects Will Smith by her constant praise of Tupac.
Well, she disrespected herself with her constant walking outside without a wig on. I feel like some things just need to stop. Everybody else on, these grounds and those grounds and all the way around, they have baby hair and, there is things that could be done. Where the are all the wigs when it comes down to Jada's head? And what the does Will Smith grab when he lays down in bed? I'm just saying some real shit, man. Are you gripping when she's gabble, squabble, squabble, giving the boom, bop, shoop up, bop, do ya, bop, I do. Yeah, I had to hit him with that. It's famous.
Will Smith,
right?
Getting back into the rap game. What's your thoughts on that?
I think he's a little confused about how talented he really is. He's opting out of the acting and running to the music, but he should have been doing that the entire career.
Right.
And then it wouldn't be a problem right now.
Yeah.
It was, oh yeah, we making 100 million here, 100 million there, 100 million. But nigga, you wasn't doing no records. You didn't hit 100 million in the studio. It was Welcome to Miami, Wild Wild West, and you had it. And then next thing you know, you stopped. And now we're supposed to be thinking about that same Will Smith, that Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It's not that no more. He gonna have to really come with bars that he write and that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's real strange timing.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not like he don't have it no more. It's just he gonna have to really, really stop trying to make us believe it. Uncle Will is like this. If you tell him it sucks, he gonna make your ass like it. He gonna keep going until you like some shit. Until he gets something out of you to where it's like, okay, all right, cool. He's a worker. He works like a motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he loves music. That's what's dope about the music that he's making right now. Because when we look back at it years later, we're gonna be like, damn, we can add this to his puzzle.
It took less than 10 seconds. One walk, one slap, one stunned face. And suddenly, the internet had a new obsession. When Will Smith stepped onto the stage at the 2022 Academy Awards and struck Chris Rock, the world didn't just watch. It froze. Then it exploded. Within minutes, clips were everywhere. Twitter crashed with reactions. TikTok stitched it from every angle. YouTube uploads multiplied by the second. By the next morning, headlines weren't just covering the slap. They were dissecting Will's entire life. That's how fast it happens. One moment becomes a microscope. Suddenly, old interviews resurface. Old rumors get recycled. Old body language clips go viral again. Things that once felt buried or forgotten are pulled back into daylight. And in today's media cycle, once the algorithm grabs something, it doesn't let go. But here's the real question. Did that slap create the controversy? Or did it just reopen a vault that had already been sitting there, waiting? Because long before that Oscars stage, there were whispers, online debates, podcast conversations, speculation about relationships, friendships, business ties, some confirmed, many not. But once that clip went viral, everything got stitched together into one giant narrative. That's how the internet works now. One clip, 1,000 headlines, and a reputation suddenly on trial, not just in Hollywood, but in the court of public opinion. And what happened next would prove something even bigger. The slap wasn't the beginning, it was the trigger. The room laughed. That's what makes it surreal. When Chris Rock delivered the joke about Jada Pinkett Smith at the 94th Academy Awards in March 2022, it landed like any other awards show punchline. Cameras even caught Will Smith smiling at first. Then everything changed. Will walked up to the stage, struck rock, and calmly returned to his seat. Seconds later, the broadcast cut audio in the US, but international feeds carried every word. The uncensored clip spread across social media within minutes. By the end of the night, the Academy issued a statement condemning the violence. Within days, Will publicly apologized to Chris Rock and the Academy. Soon after, he resigned from the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. In April 2022, the Academy announced a 10-year ban preventing him from attending the Oscars. That wasn't just a penalty. That was a headline that circled the globe. Brand partnerships reportedly paused, projects slowed, media outlets shifted tone overnight. The man who had just won Best Actor for King Richard found his career milestone overshadowed by controversy, and the internet didn't stop at the slap. It started rewinding. Old interviews resurfaced, clips from talk shows, moments from Red Table Talk, comment sections filled with theories. Some were fair criticism, others stretched far beyond facts. That's when it became clear. This wasn't just about one night at the Oscars. The slap became a doorway. And once it opened, years of conversation rushed through it. The slap faded from the front page. But the timeline didn't move on. Instead, it started digging. Within days of the Oscars moment, old interviews resurfaced across TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and Twitter threads. Clips from years ago were suddenly trending like they had just aired. Their body language analysts broke down facial expressions frame by frame. Commentators slowed down laughs, paused eye contact, replayed awkward silences. Nothing was too small. Moments from Red Table Talk started circulating again. The 2020 Entanglement episode with August Alsina was reposted millions of times. Viewers re-examined Will's expressions during that conversation, creating entire narratives based on a raised eyebrow or a tight smile. It wasn't new footage. It was recycled perception. Then came older press tour clips, interviews from the early 2000s, red carpet interactions, harmless jokes suddenly reinterpreted, public affection analyzed under a microscope. That's the modern internet effect. Context disappears, emotion gets amplified, and speculation spreads faster than correction. A single viral clip can generate millions of impressions within hours. According to recent digital analytics reports, controversial celebrity moments can spike search traffic by over 1,000% overnight. Once that surge hits, algorithms reward engagement, not accuracy. The more people argue, the more the content spreads. And here's the twist. Even if a clip is years old, once it trends again, it feels current. It feels relevant. It feels like new evidence. That's how reputations get reshaped in real time. Because in the social media era, the past isn't past, it's searchable. Right when the internet was already in detective mode, another name started trending again: Jaguar Wright. If you followed industry drama over the past few years, you know she's not new to bold interviews. Jaguar built her early reputation as a respected R&B artist in the early 2000s, even working alongside major hip-hop acts. But in recent years, she's become known less for music and more for explosive commentary about powerful figures in entertainment. And timing matters. After the Oscars incident, long-form interviews featuring Jaguar began circulating again. Clips were clipped into shorter clips, quotes were reposted without full context, and once her name connected to trending headlines, views skyrocketed. That's the formula. A viral moment creates curiosity. Curiosity creates search traffic. Search traffic revives controversial interviews. Jaguar has made a career shift into outspoken industry critique. She positions herself as someone revealing uncomfortable truths about Hollywood power circles. Whether people believe her or not, her interviews consistently generate engagement. And in the digital age, engagement equals visibility. The more shocking the statement, the faster it spreads. Podcast culture amplified this even further. Platforms that thrive on unfiltered conversations gave her space to speak freely. And because modern audiences are drawn to insider narratives, even unverified stories can dominate timelines for weeks. But here's what's interesting. The internet doesn't separate confirmed fact from speculation very well. Once a claim trends, it gets repeated. And once it's repeated enough, it feels established, even when nothing has been legally proven. Jaguar's interviews didn't create the storm. They added fuel to one that was already burning. Here's where things get complicated. Sometimes you don't need proof to create momentum. You just need names. Once multiple celebrities get mentioned in the same conversation, the internet does the rest. Even without confirmed evidence, association alone can trigger massive speculation. It's called guilt by proximity, and in the digital era, it spreads faster than facts. After the Oscars fallout, discussions didn't just focus on Will Smith alone. Online chatter started connecting dots between interviews, friendships, party scenes, business relationships, and past collaborations. Some of those connections were public and documented. Others were just loose threads pulled together by social media users. That's the psychology of suggestion. When someone says, "Think about who was in the room," the audience starts building their own storyline. No direct accusation is the implication does the work. Add viral platforms into the mix. TikTok breakdowns, YouTube reaction videos, Twitter threads, and suddenly a suggestion becomes a trending topic. Algorithms reward engagement, and nothing drives engagement like mystery. What makes this especially powerful is how quickly repetition turns into perceived credibility. If 10 creators repeat the same rumor, it feels bigger. If a clip hits 1 million views, it feels important. But important doesn't always mean verified, and here's the catch. The more controversial the suggestion, the more likely people are to share it. Outrage spreads faster than clarification. Doubt spreads faster than defense. That's why once the narrative expanded beyond one person and started including multiple industry names, it took on a life of its own. Because in the court of public opinion, Heinz's suggestion can be stronger than evidence. Long before the Oscars, there was another moment that quietly shifted public perception. It happened in 2020 during a now-famous episode of Red Table Talk featuring Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith. That's when Jada described her past relationship with singer August Alsina as an entanglement. The word alone became a meme. Clips of Will's facial expressions during that conversation went viral. Millions watched, rewound, analyzed. Some saw vulnerability, others saw discomfort. Either way, the moment cracked open the carefully managed image of Hollywood's perfect couple. For years, the Smiths had positioned their marriage as unconventional but united. They spoke openly about growth, partnership, and redefining relationship norms. But once that episode aired, public perception shifted fast. Suddenly people weren't just watching, they were judging. Search traffic around Will and Jada's marriage spiked dramatically during that period. Social media platforms filled with debates about open relationships, loyalty, masculinity, and power dynamics. The conversation became bigger than one couple. It became cultural commentary, and here's what matters. When the Oscars incident happened 2 years later, the public didn't see it in isolation. Many viewers connected it back to that Red Table Talk moment. They framed the slap through the lens of perceived humiliation, pressure, or emotional strain. Whether that interpretation was fair or not, that's how narratives build. One viral moment plants a seed, another moment waters it. By the time the Oscars clip hit, the soil was already fertile for speculation, because once a public image shifts, it rarely shifts back quietly. At some point, online chatter crosses into something more serious: lawsuits. After the Oscars fallout, attention didn't just stay on viral clips and interviews, it shifted toward legal filings and public disputes. That's when the conversation moved from speculation to paperwork. In 2024, reports surfaced about a legal dispute involving a former associate of Will Smith. Court documents were filed, claims were made, counterclaims followed. Media outlets like TMZ and other entertainment reporters began covering the developments as they unfolded. Now here's the key difference. A podcast interview is one thing, a lawsuit is another. Court filings don't automatically mean guilt, but they do raise the stakes. Once something enters the legal system, it gains weight in the public eye, even before any verdict is reached. And that's where things get complicated. Allegations can be filed, statements can be made, but until evidence is tested and rulings happen, everything sits in a gray area. Yet online, gray areas rarely stay gray. They get colored in fast. Headlines shorten nuance. Clips remove context. Commentary fills in blanks. Meanwhile, legal teams move carefully. Public statements become strategic. Silence becomes calculated. From a media perspective, lawsuits extend the lifespan of a controversy. They create updates, deadlines, new headlines. Every court date becomes a content opportunity. But here's what most people miss. The internet treats legal accusations like conclusions. In reality, the legal system moves slowly and methodically. Public opinion moves instantly, and when those two speeds collide, reputations can take hits long before facts are fully established. The story didn't just live on social media anymore, it had entered the courtroom. Here's something most people don't talk about. Controversy is profitable. Once the headlines started stacking up around Will Smith, a new wave of commentary exploded across YouTube and podcast platforms. Interviews weren't just conversations anymore, they were events. Enter the shock interview era. Viral platforms reward bold statements. The more dramatic the claim, the faster it trends. And once a clip starts circulating, it can generate millions of impressions within hours. That kind of traffic means ad revenue, subscriber growth, and cultural relevance. Names like Orlando Brown began trending after explosive interviews made their way across social feeds. Even when claims were unverified, the clips spread anyway. Reaction channels reacted, commentary channels analyzed, meme pages amplified. And here's the catch. Most viewers don't watch full interviews. They watch 30-second excerpts. That means tone, context, and clarification often disappear. What remains is the most shocking soundbite. Shock travels faster than nuance. This environment creates an incentive structure where bigger claims equal bigger numbers. It's not always about proving something. Sometimes it's about going viral. Add algorithms into the equation and you get a cycle. Controversial clip to engagement, spike to more coverage, to more speculation, to more monetization. Even people who doubt the claims still click. Even critics share the clip to argue against it. And every share feeds the system. That's the modern media machine. But the story isn't just happening, it's being amplified. And once amplification begins, it's almost impossible to contain. But what happens when other celebrities get pulled into the mix? That's where things escalate even further. This is where things start spreading sideways. Once a controversy gains momentum, it rarely stays contained to one person. It expands. It pulls in friends, collaborators, business partners, sometimes even people who were only in the same room once. After the fallout surrounding Will Smith, social media users began mapping connections. Old party photos resurfaced, archived interviews were reposted. Collaborative moments from years ago were reframed with new suspicion. Then other celebrity names started trending. Whether it was musicians, actors, or industry executives, the logic became simple. If they were close at some point, they must know something. That assumption alone was enough to spark entire threads and video essays. This is guilt by association at digital speed. A handshake becomes a theory. A shared stage becomes a storyline. A decades-old interview becomes evidence. Even artists like Justin Bieber occasionally get pulled into larger online narratives simply because of past proximity to powerful industry figures. No confirmed wrongdoing, just the power of connection. And once those names start trending together, the algorithm groups them. Search one and the other appears. Suggested videos link them side by side. The internet begins building its own web of implication. What makes this especially powerful is how visual media reinforces it. Side-by-side clips, compilations, not reaction thumbnails with arrows and red circles. Presentation can make coincidence feel coordinated. But here's the reality. Association is not confirmation. Yet online, that distinction blurs quickly. Viewers start asking, why are these names always mentioned together? And once that question sticks, it becomes part of the narrative. The story grows bigger than facts, bigger than context, and that expansion sets the stage for something even more intense, the clash between public opinion and actual proof. Here's the turning point most people miss. There are two trials happening at once. One plays out in courtrooms, the other plays out in comment sections. After everything involving Will Smith began trending again, timelines filled with verdicts before any judge ever spoke. Oh, people weren't just discussing headlines, they were deciding outcomes. That's the social media court. In this space, perception moves faster than paperwork. A viral clip can generate millions of opinions overnight, and once enough people repeat a narrative, it starts to feel settled, even if no legal ruling exists to support it. Meanwhile, the real court system operates differently. Allegations must be filed, evidence must be reviewed, arguments must be tested. That process can take months or even years, but online, patience doesn't trend. Instant reactions do. And here's where things get complicated. If a lawsuit gets filed, some people treat that as confirmation. If someone denies a claim, others treat the denial as proof of guilt. The nuance disappears. Silence becomes suspicious, defense becomes damage control, and context rarely survives the scroll. The gap between legal reality and digital narrative keeps widening. One system demands proof, the other thrives on speculation. This doesn't just affect one celebrity, It reshapes how every public figure navigates controversy now. Careers can shift long before any official outcome is decided. Because in today's culture, reputation isn't only shaped by verdicts, it's shaped by visibility. And once the public has formed an opinion, changing it is far harder than forming it. Controversy isn't just cultural, it's commercial. When headlines explode around someone like Will Smith, the entire digital economy reacts. News sites see traffic spikes, YouTube creators see view surges, podcasts trend, reaction channels multiply, even critics benefit from the buzz. Scandal drives clicks, clicks drive revenue. The more heated the debate, the longer it stays profitable. Search trends after the Oscars incident showed massive overnight spikes in Will Smith-related queries. That surge didn't just reflect curiosity, it reflected opportunity. Content creators rushed to upload breakdowns, reaction videos, and what really happened takes. And every new upload extended the lifespan of the moment. But while the internet monetized outrage, something quieter was happening behind the scenes. Reputation strategy. Will didn't flood social media with constant responses. He issued a public apology. He stepped back from major appearances. He let time pass. That approach wasn't accidental. In crisis management, controlled silence can sometimes work better than constant defense. Since then, he's returned to selective projects and carefully managed public appearances. Industry insiders often call this the reset phase. It's slow, it's calculated, it's designed to rebuild perception without directly arguing with the internet. And here's the truth: Hollywood has seen comebacks before. Public memory can be short, but only if the narrative shifts. The business of scandal may generate headlines, but the business of survival requires patience. And whether this chapter becomes a permanent stain or just a dramatic footnote depends on one thing. At some point, this stops being about one person. It becomes about us. Why do these stories spread so fast? Why do millions of people analyze, debate, and dissect every frame of a celebrity's life? The answer isn't just curiosity, it's culture. When someone as globally recognizable as Will Smith stumbles publicly, it shakes something bigger than a headline. For decades, he represented charisma, positivity, and control. From sitcom star to blockbuster lead, his image felt stable, predictable, safe. So when that image cracked, the internet leaned in, because we're drawn to contrast. The higher the pedestal, the louder the fall feels. Social media amplifies that instinct. Platforms reward hot takes. Outrage spreads faster than empathy, and once people pick sides, debate becomes entertainment. The story stops being about facts and starts being about narrative. Who was wrong? Who was justified? Who's hiding something? Who deserves redemption? But here's the deeper layer. We're living in an era where private lives are constantly public. Every facial expression becomes a theory. Our every silence becomes suspicious. Every comeback becomes strategic. The line between celebrity and spectator has blurred. We don't just watch anymore, we participate. We comment. We stitch. We speculate. And once a narrative takes off, it rarely belongs to the person at the center of it. It belongs to the audience. So maybe the real question isn't what happened on that stage. Maybe it's this. In a world where one clip can create 1,000 headlines, are we chasing truth or are we chasing drama? What started as one shocking moment on live television turned into something much bigger. It wasn't just about a slap, it wasn't just about a joke. It became a case study in how modern fame works. When Will Smith walked onto that Oscar stage, the world saw a split-second decision. But what followed revealed something deeper: how fast the internet can rewrite a legacy. Old interviews resurfaced, podcast clips reignited debate, associations were questioned, lawsuits added fuel. And through it all, two courts operated at the same time: the legal system and the comment section. Some narratives were based on confirmed events, others were speculation amplified by algorithms. But once the story caught fire, it didn't matter what started it. The machine kept running. That's the era we're in now. Visibility is permanent, silence is suspicious, context is optional. And redemption? That depends on attention spans. The bigger picture isn't just about Will. It's about how celebrity culture functions today, how quickly admiration can flip into interrogation, how audiences can build entire storylines from fragments, how one viral clip can reopen chapters people thought were closed. The slap wasn't the full story, it was the spark. The real story is how we reacted, how we shared, how we decided what mattered, and how we continue to revisit it long after the stage lights dimmed. Because in 2026 and beyond, the rules are clear. One clip can change everything. But the storm that follows, that's powered by us.